You are not gonna believe what just came out about Sal and Murr. Like, we've seen the Impractical Jokers mess with each other on TV for years, right? But what just leaked? This is a whole different level. We're talking real drama. Actual behind-the-scenes stuff that no one saw coming. Some messages just surfaced. And they're not just shady, they're straight up disturbing. And get this. Sal finally spoke out. Not in a joke, not in a skit. He really said something. And it's not looking good for Murr. And listen, this isn't just internet gossip. Fans are flipping out. People are combing through clips, tweets, old interviews, trying to piece together if this has been brewing for years. And honestly, the signs were there. We're diving into the leaked messages, what Sal actually said, the fan theories going crazy online, and whether this could be the beginning of the end for one of comedy's tightest crews. All right, before we dive into the chaos, let's set the stage real quick, especially if you're new to the Impractical Jokers crew. Sal Vulcano and James Murray, better known as Murr, aren't just co-workers or some comedy duo that got lucky with a hit show. These two, along with Joe Gatto and Brian Quinn, have been real-life friends since high school. We're talking Staten Island kids pulling pranks before there were cameras rolling. They literally turned inside jokes into a TV empire. When Impractical Jokers launched back in 2011, the chemistry between them was undeniable. They weren't actors pretending to be best friends. They were best friends. And you could feel that in every awkward dare, every brutal punishment, every moment where they just cracked up and couldn't finish a bit. Sal's the one who wears his emotions on his sleeve, kind of the sensitive soul of the group. Murr? He's more of the buttoned-up, calculated guy who's willing to do literally anything if it gets a laugh. That balance? It made the show magic. But here's where it gets interesting. When you've been friends that long, you build trust. Deep trust. Like, you know all my secrets kind of trust. So when something feels off, especially between two guys this close, you feel it. And lately, fans have started noticing cracks. It's not just two co-stars beefing, it's something that feels personal, like something's been brewing quietly for years, and now it's finally bubbling to the surface. So here's where everything flipped. The whole thing started with a single post, on Reddit of all places. Late at night, no warning, no context. Just a grainy screenshot with the caption, "If you knew what Murr was really like behind the scenes, you'd understand why Sal's done with him." At first, people thought it was fake. You know how the internet is. Tons of hoaxes, deepfakes, drama bait. But then, more screenshots started dropping, from what looked like a private group chat, some from DMS. One even looked like it came from a backup device, like someone had saved this stuff just waiting for the right moment to drop it. And the messages? Yeah, they were rough. One line read, "I don't care what Sal thinks. He's not calling the shots." Another one, "We're keeping this between us. He doesn't need to know. It'll just cause problems." That one hit different. Because when you've worked side by side with someone for decades, sharing stages, stories, literally building your careers together, how do you say something like that about them behind their back? Now, here's the kicker. The leaker? Completely anonymous. They used a burner account with zero history, but based on the timestamps and the language used, fans started connecting dots. Some think it's someone close to the show, maybe even a former crew member. Others think it's a fan who got access to a hacked backup. Either way, this wasn't just petty gossip. These were real messages. Time-stamped, name-tagged, and chilling. And once the screenshots hit Instagram and TikTok, it exploded. People started reposting them like wildfire. Fan pages started digging up old podcast clips, suspicious quotes, even moments from Impractical Jokers that now seemed weird. Like maybe the tension had been there for a while and we just didn't see it. So yeah, this wasn't just some random internet rumor. These were screenshots that shook the fandom, and they opened a door that might never fully close again. Now, let's break this down, because on the surface, it might just look like a guy venting, right? But take a closer look. The language in those messages? It's not frustration. It's not a harmless offhand comment. It's calculated. It's secretive. And honestly, it feels intentional. That line, "We're keeping this between us." He doesn't need to know. That's not just someone trying to avoid drama. That's someone hiding something. And the other one? I don't care what Sal thinks. He's not calling the shots. That right there tells us a lot. It's not just dismissive, it's power play energy. It paints this picture of Murr trying to take control behind the scenes, while smiling on camera like everything's all good. And when you put that side by side with the way Murr presents himself publicly, always laughing, always joking, always the one willing to embarrass himself for a laugh, it just doesn't match. That contrast between who he pretends to be and what he's saying in private, that's what makes this so unsettling. It's like a mask slipped. And fans? Oh, they noticed immediately. One tweet went viral the same day the leaks dropped. It said, "Y'all remember when Sal refused to do that punishment with Murr and didn't explain why? I thought it was nothing. Now it feels like something." Another fan on Reddit posted a side-by-side of past interviews where Murr would constantly cut Sal off mid-sentence. And suddenly, those harmless moments from before, they feel a lot more pointed now. And it's not just about what was said, it's about the tone behind it, the manipulation, the secrecy. Like, how long has this been going on? How much was Sal kept in the dark about? And if Murr was saying that behind Sal's back, what else has been hidden? Because here's the thing. When someone you've known for 20 plus years talks about you like you're just some obstacle in the way, that cuts deep. That's not just workplace drama, that's betrayal. And that's why these messages hit so hard. It's not about the words, it's about what they reveal. All right, so once the screenshots started making the rounds, everyone was waiting for one thing. What's Sal gonna say? And for a while, he said nothing. No tweets, no Instagram stories, not even a cryptic meme, which is usually how celebs throw shade without naming names. Sal just went completely silent. And honestly, that made people even more suspicious. Like, if this wasn't real, wouldn't he shut it down immediately? But then, out of nowhere, he finally broke the silence. It happened on a podcast. Not one of the big promo ones either. Just a chill sit-down where he was being interviewed about life, touring, and yeah, the Jokers stuff. The host asked him straight up, "So, there's been a lot of talk online about things between you and Murr. Any truth to that?" And Sal? He didn't dodge. He paused, took a breath, then said, "Let's just say, I found out the same way you all did, and it didn't surprise me." Didn't surprise him? That line hit harder than any angry tweet ever could. Because what that implies is this wasn't new to him. Like he already had suspicions. Maybe he already knew Murr was moving shady. Maybe this was just the final straw. But either way, Sal didn't defend him, didn't sugarcoat it. He just calmly confirmed that, yeah, there's truth to it. And that quiet honesty, it was loud, and it didn't stop there. Later in the same interview, he dropped another line that fans are still dissecting. He said, "Sometimes you work with people so long you stop noticing who they've become." Bruh? That's not just disappointment, that's hurt, that's history. That's decades of loyalty being slowly eroded until one day you wake up and realize you don't even know the person next to you anymore. And the vibe? You could feel it. He wasn't bitter. He wasn't explosive. He was just done. That's what really shook fans. Sal's always been the emotional heart of the group. The one who'd laugh so hard he cried, who couldn't even handle spiders in a punishment. And here he was, completely composed. Like someone who'd already grieved the friendship long before the messages came out. It didn't feel like a feud. It felt like a final chapter. So, after Sal finally spoke out, things got weird. Like, immediately. Fans started digging, watching old clips, scrolling through social media. And the vibe? It just wasn't the same. You could feel it. First off, there haven't been any recent group appearances. No full Joker interviews, no behind-the-scenes content with all four guys hanging out like they used to. And if you look at the timelines, it lines up right after the leaks went viral. Then came the Instagram unfollow. Yeah. Sal unfollowed Murr. Quietly. No announcement, no drama, just click, gone. That move? It doesn't sound like much, but in celeb world, that's basically the equivalent of flipping someone off at a red carpet event. Fans caught it quick too. One post said, "It's over. Sal hit the unfollow button. There's no coming back from that." And what about the others? Joe Gatto's been doing his own thing since he stepped away from the show in 2021, but even he hasn't said a word. And Q? Total silence. No subtle likes, no brotherhood tweets like we used to see. The thing is, these guys weren't just co-workers. They were a brand, a family. They made a career off roasting each other, but always backed it with loyalty. So when that loyalty cracks, the whole foundation starts to shake. There's also been talk about changes on the show. Some fans pointed out that in recent live events, Sal and Murr weren't even on stage at the same time for certain bits. Coincidence? Maybe. But when you pair that with everything else, the messages, the silence, the unfollowing, it's hard not to feel like something's shifted permanently. And it's not just about friendships anymore. This could mess with the entire Impractical Jokers dynamic. Their chemistry is what made the show what it is. You can't fake that kind of bond. And if that bond is broken, what does that mean for the future of the franchise? Because right now, it doesn't look like a temporary fallout. It looks like a fracture, and one that might not get patched up. Now, with everything out in the open, or at least partially out, fans have gone full detective mode. And honestly, the theories flying around right now are wild, but also weirdly convincing. Theory number 1? This wasn't the first time. A lot of fans think the leaked messages weren't some isolated, one-time shady exchange. They believe this kind of stuff has been going on for years. Murr making decisions behind the scenes, excluding Sal from certain calls, maybe even trying to steer the group in his own direction without full transparency. There's even an old clip from 2018 making the rounds again. Murr joking about being the only one with business sense in the group. At the time, it felt like banter. Now, feels more like a subtle jab. Theory number 2? There was a major falling out years ago, and they covered it up. Some Reddit users dug up podcast episodes and noticed a gap where Sal stopped appearing with Murr for a stretch of time. One fan posted, "I always thought it was weird that Sal did interviews solo while the others paired up. Maybe they've been keeping the peace for the cameras this whole time." And then there's the big one. Theory number 3? Sal's been holding this in for a long time. The idea is, Sal saw Murr's behavior for what it was a while back, but chose to stay quiet. Maybe for the brand, maybe out of loyalty. Maybe he just didn't want to blow things up. But once those messages leaked and fans saw the truth, he didn't have to protect it anymore. That's why his response wasn't explosive. It was calm, like someone who'd already moved on. Of course, not everyone agrees. There's a chunk of fans who are defending Murr, saying we're blowing this out of proportion. That it's all taken out of context, that people are reading into things because they want drama. And that's where the divide is happening. Some people are firmly Team Sal, saying he's been disrespected and finally reached his limit. Others are still backing Murr, arguing that friendships have rocky moments and this is just one of them. And then there's the group stuck in the middle, just heartbroken that this might be the end of the crew as we knew them. Either way, the internet is buzzing, and there's one thing everyone can agree on. Something's definitely not right behind the scenes. So, what now? Where does this leave Sal and Murr, two guys who've known each other since before the fame, before the cameras, before the world started watching? Right now, everything feels uncertain. There's been no official statement, no apology, no "we're working it out" post. Just radio silence and a growing mountain of tension that fans can feel, even if no one's saying it out loud. And sure, maybe it all blows over. Maybe they patch it up behind the scenes and move on like nothing happened. But something about this feels different. The trust? That looks broken. The friendship? Feels strained. And the chemistry that made Impractical Jokers what it is? That's the part that's hardest to fake. Because when fans start noticing distance, when people who've laughed with you for years start saying, "Yeah, this feels off," you can't just sweep that under the rug. This could be the start of a major shift for the Jokers. Or it could be the beginning of the end. Only time will tell. But what do you think? Is this just a messy misunderstanding between longtime friends? Or is this the real beginning of a fallout that's been brewing for years? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Seriously, I want to hear your theory. Do you think Sal's done for good? Was Murr out of line? Or is there something deeper that we haven't even seen yet? And if you want to stay in the loop as this story develops, or if more messages leak, because who knows at this point, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got more breakdowns, more celebrity drama, and everything you're not seeing in the headlines. Turn on those notifications so you don't miss the next twist. Because with this kind of drama, there's always another layer.